All right, I want to cover a comment today. And this person says that one of the most difficult parts of staying sober, one of the most difficult parts of this whole journey is the anxiety that they're feeling. And it's anxiety in a specific instance, and that is within social situations. And he says that it's not necessarily the peer pressure as such, it's more the uncomfortable feelings that he feels inside of himself, or she feels inside of themselves. I just want to say something about the peer pressure before we move on with this. Peer pressure is an external influence only, right? It's an external pressure that you don't have to take any notice of. Most of the time, especially when you're young, peer pressure is part of the internal ego rather than anything else, you know. I don't want to look shit. I don't want to look like a chump. I don't want to look like I'm weak. I want to look like I'm strong. You know, there was a mate of mine years ago when I first started drinking, and he was younger than me, so maybe I was 19 or something like that, and he was 18, 17, and he was able to drink much more than me, and that hurt my ego. I wanted to drink more than him. I wanted to be able to down, I think, whatever it was at the time. I think 6 pints he was able to drink, and I was only able to drink 2 or 3. If I drank 3, the room was spinning around and I was feeling nauseous, right? So that was ego. Peer pressure is all about that, right? And I think the social situations, you know, that can bring sort of a similar thing out in us, right? And that causes the anxiety. It's not the pressure that's coming from the outside, it's our internal responses, how we're responding to these things. You know, our social situations in general, they're part of the problem, right? For most of us, the decision to drink or the decision to who we're going to socialize with, these are two things that go hand in hand. I'll explain that a little bit. Think about it from the perspective of when you first start drinking alcohol, most people don't start because they want to drink. You know, it's usually because somebody else is drinking and they want to drink because their friends are drinking. But then the alcohol and the people become entwined. You know, you're rarely going to see alcohol users trying to hang out with people who don't use, right? It's the same thing with all other drugs. You rarely see people who are taking heroin wanting to hang around with people while they're taking heroin when they're not doing that. Same with smokers. You know, with weed smokers, they generally want to smoke weed together, right? Because you're just on a different level, right? I don't drink. I haven't drank for 10 years, and I cannot stand listening to people who are talking drunken shite, right? And that's what it sounds like to me, drunken shite. And I've done it myself, so I understand where it's coming from, right? Don't get me wrong, I get it. Those people who drink, they want the freedom to speak their drunken nonsense without being judged for it, right? Without somebody who's there who's going to remember it the next day, right? So the problem with this whole situation is that when you get mixed up with the alcohol and the people, that becomes a thing. It becomes a part of your life. It becomes a part of your social life. And it's all locked up in that. So when you stop drinking alcohol, when you give up the alcohol, you're still locked into that alcohol culture, right? You leave the alcohol behind. You don't leave the alcohol culture behind, but that's what you have to do, right? And in order to leave the alcohol culture behind, you've got to leave the people behind. Either they change with you or you leave them behind. You can't mix the two of them together. It doesn't work, right? So look, it gets easier as you progress in this journey. It's a gradual process and you'll get there, right? But it takes time, it takes energy, it takes perseverance, patience. It takes you being positive about the outcome that you're going to get, right? If you want help to stop drinking alcohol, we've got a program, habitsv2.com. Got a lot of different stuff there that can help you. I've got 10 years of experience doing this, and I can definitely cut short that journey and teach you a lot of stuff that will reduce your discomfort, reduce your overall pain, reduce your stress in this journey, and increase your the chances of you succeeding. So come and have a look. see what you think. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you soon. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.